Crazy story time about how my mom kidnapped my sister. So my mom and dad split whenever I was really young. And at this time, they were always in and out of court battling for custody over my sister and I. Well, the one day my dad drives my mom downtown to the courthouse because she didn't have a ride. And before she gets out of the car, she's like, "Can I give the girls a hug?" And my dad was like, "Yeah, go ahead." Little background information. I was more of a daddy's girl. My sister was more of a mommy's girl, which is probably the reason why she took her. I was sitting by the window, my sister was sitting in the middle seat. So she gives me a hug. Next thing I know, my sister's seatbelt was unbuckled and my mom was running across the street with her in the middle of downtown. Didn't even look for cars. So my dad got out of the car, ran over, grabbed her, picked both of them up, and walked over to the sidewalk, and my mom was screaming bloody murder. So this guy called the cops, and my dad was trying to show them custody papers because he had full custody. But the cop knew my mom, so he let her take my sister. We got her back, but I didn't see this bitch for like 4 months. Toxic best friend story time. So I had an off and on friendship with this one girl. In my freshman year, we became friends again. And she had this boyfriend named Nicholas. And they literally fought 24/7. And every time she would fight, she would be like, "Can you please fix this for me?" So she would have me add him on Snapchat, fix it, and then block him. And guys, this literally was happening like 5 times a week. And then after she asked me to do that the first few times, I realized she started going through my phone. And when I say my phone, I mean my whole motherfucking phone. A bitch was going through my Snapchats, DMs, text messages, and I didn't know how to confront her because that's just weird. So the one day I was getting ready at her house because we were about to go out, and she was like, "I'm grounded, can I use your phone real quick?" And I was like, "Yeah, just let me Snapchat this last person back." And she goes, "No," and rips the phone out of my hand. And she starts going through my Snapchat right in front of me. And I had a streak with this kid named Nick. She goes up to me and says, "What the fuck is this?" Like for part 2. Okay guys, I'm making the part 2 right now and I'm literally laying in bed. I took off my makeup and you guys have to realize that I literally do these videos at like 10 o'clock at night and they get posted at like 1 in the morning and then I go to bed at like 2. And for all of you commenting I'm clout chasing, bro, chill out. It's been like 3 hours. So anyway, she comes up to me and shoves the phone in my face and goes, "Who the fuck is this?" And I literally looked at her and started laughing my ass off. And she was like, "What the fuck is so funny, Kaylee, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Go ahead, hold on the name." And she held on the name and realized it wasn't her fucking boyfriend. So I packed up my things while she literally went and sat on her bed and started crying. She was like, "I don't want to lose my best friend." So fast forward, her and her boyfriend broke up. Her and I weren't friends anymore. And then she would always try to accuse me of getting with him. Moral of the story, don't get involved in other people's relationships. Bye guys. Story time about how my sister and I almost got beat up by a 40-year-old man. So there was this one girl who would bully my sister and I on the bus in elementary school. Well, one day we told the principal and the principal called her dad. And she made up this whole story about the only reason why she did it to us was because we were bullying her. So the next day, after we told the principal, her dad was at the bus stop. And he comes up to us, taps us both on the shoulder, and says, "If you guys ever bully my daughter again, I will hold you down while me, her, and her sister beat the shit out of you guys." So we got to the school that day and we called our dad. We told him what happened, but he was kind of questioning it. Until our neighbor actually walked up to our house and knocked on the door and told my dad. And I guess at the bus stop, everybody kind of looked at the guy like, "Are you fucking crazy?" Because my dad at the time was a bodybuilder. And he was like, "What the fuck is he gonna do?" Like for part 2. Part 2, because I don't want y'all to get mad at me again. And by the way, for everybody asking for that part 2, it is already posted. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm not saying that because my dad's a bodybuilder that like he could kick his ass. It's just like you don't mess with, you know, a dad's kid, like girls, especially when we were as girls. So he called the school. We ended up going to court, and my dad like at court was literally like, "If you ever lay a hand on my daughters again or like threaten my daughters like that, I will literally kill you." The judge yelled at my dad for that. And then he had to apologize to us, and because basically like he threatened us, and then like he got in trouble a little bit more for that, and like they did some other stuff that I don't really remember. But he wasn't allowed near us. He wasn't allowed to go to the bus stop anymore. He wasn't allowed near the school. If we were at the school, like it was traumatizing. Like Anyways, thank you guys so much for 700, almost 700,000. I love you guys, and that is part 2. Story time, the biggest lie I ever got away with as a teenager. So my sister and I were going to spend the weekend at my stepdad's, and I asked my parents if I could bring a friend. My dad said he didn't care, and my stepmom said no. And my parents were really strict. But obviously I did not listen. So I invited my friend, and her parents were also really strict. So we came up with this elaborate plan that I would ask her parents and tell them that it was a surprise for her. And they believed it. So the day comes whenever we're supposed to leave to go up to my stepdad's. So, we get off the bus, walk to my house, and my stepmom was asleep because she worked night shifts. So I was able to sneak my friend through the house to my bedroom. Little did she know she was going to have to hide in the closet. So my stepmom came in and needed to borrow a pair of socks for work. And I was literally guarding the closet with my life. And she goes, "Get away from the closet, you're acting so suspicious. What's in there?" Like for part 2, by the way, Stacy and Candace, if you see this, my bad. Okay, part 2, sorry for keeping you guys waiting. So she literally pushes me out of the way, goes and looks in the closet, and stands there for a whole ass minute. And me, I'm over here having an anxiety attack. My sister's looking at me, making like hand gestures, basically saying, "What is she looking at?" And I'm literally sitting there, and I get to peek in the closet, and my friend is not there. And I'm like, what the fuck? Where did she go? And then she starts moving things around in the closet. So she didn't see anything, and she goes to walk out of my room, and she goes, "You guys are so weird." And I run over to the closet like, where the fuck is she? And she pops out of this box that is literally in plain sight and goes, "Is she gone yet?" And trust me, I know this doesn't sound like a big thing to get away with, but whenever you have strict parents and they're looking for somebody in literally a 5-foot space, oh honey. This was a big deal for me. And tonight is going to be the night that my stepmom actually sees this. Story time about my manipulative ex-boyfriend. So whenever we first started dating, he was really sweet. We would hang out all the time, and we had such good chemistry. And we were Snapchatting because I lived like a few hours away from him. And he goes, "All my exes have hurt me in the past." Now us women, that makes us think, "Oh, I want to be the girl who doesn't hurt him." And I was like, "Well, how many ex-girlfriends have you had?" He goes, "Like 9. And at that time, I was blinded about how happy I was to be dating him to actually realize that was a red flag. And then this motherfucker says, "So please don't be mad at me if I do something that might hurt you. It's just because I've been hurt so many times." Implying if he were to cheat on me, I shouldn't be mad because he's been hurt so many times. Red motherfucking flag alert, bitch. Like for part 2. Toxic ex-boyfriend part 2. So pretty much I got into an argument with him after that, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "I just don't want you to be surprised." Well, me being the stupid dumb fucking bitch that I am, left it at that and didn't end the relationship there. This is the definition of ignoring all red flags. So I started to wonder who all these ex-girlfriends were. And since I wasn't from around where he lived, I had to do a whole fucking FBI investigation to find at least one of these exes. She was like, "Oh, he literally does that to every girl." And then told me all the tea about how her and all of his 9 exes were actually best friends. And that he was the one who actually cheated on all of them with each other. And she goes, "I didn't even know you guys were dating. He never told anybody up here." Because he was hooking up with other bitches up there. I ended up breaking up with him, but ladies, take notes. This is a red flag. Story time of one of my many embarrassing moments in high school. So my sophomore year, I was talking to this guy. And we had been talking for 4 months. And he didn't want to date me. I didn't know that until one of his friends said, "Oh yeah, he's just using you to do stuff." And I'm surprised he let it drag on for 4 months because I didn't do anything with him. But now looking back at it, he would always ask me to come over when his parents weren't home. So anyways, I really liked him. He broke my heart, and yeah. So the next day I had school, and I had a class with him. And all of his friends were in that class too. And I planned on ignoring everybody and just keeping my headphones in. Well, one of his friends asked me if I was okay. Bad idea. The waterworks started and I started sobbing in class in front of everybody. I felt so bad for him. He just asked if I was okay. And guys, everybody was staring at me. It was so bad I had to be removed from class.